Hello, my name is Michael Riley, and I work for Mistras Group Incorporated. Our corporate headquarters are located in Princeton Junction, New Jersey, and we are the largest non-destructive testing firm in the United States. The NDT industry is very competitive. It doesn't cost a lot to get into. There are a lot of people that can do it. Our clients have a lot of people to choose from, and this is causing our profits to drop and the competition to increase. So how can NDT companies reduce their operating costs? One way I feel is that we can reduce the amount of hours that an employee spends in the classroom working on their required certification training. Over a 5-year period, a single employee could spend as much as 200 hours in the classroom working on their certification training. And that works out to about $8,000 per employee. That's a lot of money. A company our size, where we have 5,000 employees, most of them need training. That really adds up. That hurts the bottom line. So I think the solution to that is blended learning. And the idea is that the student who's seeking out certification spend half their time online on their own time, learning general information about whatever NDT subject they're pursuing, and half the time in a classroom where they can get their laboratory and hands-on training. And this type of training is required. We have requirements for the general training, and we have requirements for the laboratory training. So this meets that need. Blended learning plan. Blended learning will consist of giving a prepaid customer 90 days to an online course where they'll receive half their training. Once they complete that training, then they can sign up for a classroom laboratory course where they'll receive the remainder of their training. And once they complete that training, they'll get credit for X amount of hours for the online, and then the amount of hours that they spent in a laboratory. And these hours are required for certification. And what is non-destructive testing? It's really just testing something without destroying it or harming it in any way. We use X-rays and like the doctors do in hospitals they test bones. We test welds typically, or we look for corrosion, or we look for any component that may harm a part. We also do ultrasonic testing, which would be like an ultrasound test for babies, but we do it on piping, and we look for defects in welds. We have 6 Learn Centers in the United States. We have 50 offices in the United States, but 6 of those are Learn Centers. And the Learn Center is a training center that is open to the public. So in 50 offices, we are performing training for our own personnel, but of those 50, only 6 of them do we use for training outside personnel. So the benefits of blended learning is that it reduces the amount of time away from billable work. Many of our clients have very stringent deadlines, and they don't like to let our employees leave their sites. They understand that we have to do it for certification training, but they often won't let us off a site, so we have to do our training on weekends or after work. And that's difficult to do for a 40-hour course. So this will help keep the customers happy. Plus, we're reducing the amount of billable hours of the employees, so we're going to save some money that way. Industry analysis. Because we cover so many different types of industries, when one industry like oil and gas is not doing as well, other industries are doing better. So the cheap gas that the refineries are producing is a benefit to the airlines. And so the airlines are making more money because they're spending less on fuel, so they're going to spend more on purchasing airplanes. Well, we do inspection on new construction for airplanes, so that keeps us busy. Plus, there are a lot of industry standards and requirements and regulations and state regulations and insurance regulations for many of the industries we work for. So even if oil and gas is not making as much money right now, they're still required to do a certain amount of inspection on their infrastructure. Same with building bridges. They have to do these inspections. Where we don't get the money is particularly with oil and gas, which is a large part of our income, is they stop doing new projects, so they stop building onto the refineries, and we depend on a lot of that work. So when they stop doing that, that is a loss to us. However, again, we do make up for it in other areas. So for our industry outlook, we're looking at a 6.6% growth for 2015. 6.8% growth in the next 5 years to 2020 and to a $2.6 billion mark, and that's a big industry. There's a lot of money here, and it's 12% of revenue. Even with the faltering oil prices and NDT, profits are looking pretty good. So who's our target market? And it's really anybody that performs NDT, anybody that does non-destructive testing, and that's unfortunately that's all of our competitors, but it is also companies that perform manufacturing. Manufacturing companies will often do inspections on their products in-house, and they're rarely set up to do their own training, so we can provide that. We expect to pursue smaller companies, and that's really the lion's share of the target market. It's probably, there's nearly 2,000 companies out there that do non-destructive testing. And most of those companies are, 500 employees or less. Not all of them have the infrastructure to do their own training. So we can help them with that. The other two large companies that have the lion's share of the market are WorldSpec and Team. And they, of course, are set up to do their own training. Of course, WorldSpec is very well known for their training company. However, we provide very specific training that they come to us for. So we'll still pursue that, and we will still keep training their people for these advanced techniques. Manufacturing companies, like I was saying, is a small market, but they still need to be trained, and we're still willing to train them. So the market size is almost 1,900 NDT businesses. Almost all of those need some type of external training. There's almost 28,000 employees out there, and almost all of those need external training. Some of the training will come from in-house, but again, we can provide basic and advanced training for them, and blended learning. So our marketing plan is to push blended learning. This is how we're going to help companies save money. We have 6 offices. They're pretty conveniently located around the United States. That reduces travel time and travel expenses. Our advertising, we're going to stick with Material Evaluation Magazine. This magazine is an industry magazine that is sent to basically every NDT company in the United States. Often companies will use this magazine to find training, especially scheduling, and then pricing. Our competition is online training and distance training programs, individual independent training consultants, national training companies, community colleges also do NDT training. They have NDT programs, not a lot of them, but there are a few. And then, of course, the company trainers, the trainers that actually work for the company that train their own people. That would be our largest competitor. Advantage over our competition. Recently we purchased University of Ultrasonics, which is an industry leader in ultrasonic testing. It's one of the first companies I went to that was outside of my company for advanced training. They do an excellent job. We're very lucky to have them. They bring a lot of skilled people with them. Some amazing advanced services training. They really are industry leaders, not just in training, but also in procedures and codes. So they work with code bodies and help develop new testing procedures. Also, they come with a lot of equipment and flaw specimens. And when I say a lot, they have almost $1 million worth of flaw specimens, so that's really a bonus for us. Our strategic position, our core competence and segment are providing training for companies that need to get their employees trained but don't have the infrastructure to do so. So also another thing is that I think blended learning is going to differentiate us from our competitors. Some competitors do online training and some competitors do classroom training, but I have yet to see any that do both. Our timeline for 2016, our biggest push, I think, especially with University of Ultrasonics, is to start adding additional types of NDT training beyond the ultrasonic training that they provide now, which I'm hoping will increase our market share there. So we'd like to add 2 new courses per quarter. And then in 2016, we'd like to open an 8th office in Jacksonville, Florida. And then in 2017, a 7th office in Denver, Colorado. And these are larger market areas, which will help us get customers that are local or that don't have to travel so far. What is our risk? Our risk is that we could flood the market with these additional training centers. I'm certain that as we open new training centers, people in those areas won't travel to the other training centers. So we may not be gaining as many more customers as we'd like, and some schools may be losing some customers. Our biggest concern, or my biggest concern, is the loss of quality as we grow and add new courses. Almost all courses are found by word of mouth. When a person takes a training course from an external trainer, they tell everybody about it, and that's how most of the people I've talked to have found the training centers that they've gone to. It's by word of mouth, and if the quality isn't there, if the customer doesn't feel like they're getting what they need, they're not going to use this, and they're going to spread the word. So we have to be very diligent, very careful about keeping our quality as high as possible. Income statement, as you can see, the first year shows profit of $686,000. Net profit increases to $1.4 million in 2018 after opening the 2 new training centers. Cash flow is in the black from the start. The project reaches an impressive $7.8 million or $7.9 million by 2020. Total dollar amount being sought is $408,000. That's for expanding the 2 training centers and everything associated with that. The ask. We'd like to open the 2 new training centers, one in 2016, one in 2017. The $408,000 is to open the 2 new offices. $128,000 of that is for, leasing the building to teach in the flaw samples, test equipment, teaching materials. The working capital needed is $280,000, and that covers the staff for opening the 2 new offices. So, by 2020, the training facilities could be netting as much as $8 million annually. That, of course, includes opening the 2 new offices. So our return on investment is of 84%, and by 2020, we'll have a net present value of 31% with a 98% return on investment. The current training sites have the potential of netting a total of $330,000 in the first quarter of 2016. while they're earning